It's a question we all ask ourselves when we're thinking about a Walt Disney World vacation: how many days is right for me? Spoiler alert, there is no one right answer here. Any time at Disney is good time at Disney. But that still leaves us with the question, how many days are right for me? And in today's video, I'm going to go over what I think when I consider a shorter trip like the 48-hour Festival of the Arts trip that we just recently went on, and a longer trip like the 7-day Food and Wine Festival, 4th of July, and Toy Story Land opening trip. Let's start with an obvious factor first: cost. And it must cost more money to go to Walt Disney World for a longer period of time, right? If you're considering only the resort stays and the food, I would say yes, but once you start to consider transportation costs and tickets if you don't have an annual pass, the difference is much closer than you would expect. Just as an example, if we look at ticket costs in just a random day when I was looking, 3 days at the park would cost you $320, while 7 days in this random example would cost you $450. That's a difference of $130 for more than double the amount of time you get in the parks. I've got to tell you, every time I look at those ticket costs, I think to myself, there is no way I would be going to Walt Disney World as frequently if I didn't have my annual pass. That's a big factor in my mind. That's just one example in terms of the ticket prices. So if we look at the differences between the shorter trips and the longer trips, I personally believe that fewer longer trips are less expensive than more shorter trips, but you can find more videos on my channel, which I will link to this video, all about the different costs. Putting the costs aside for a moment, let's consider the emotional value or the happiness that you get for each style of vacation. Let's consider a hypothetical situation. Let's say you were given the choice between 4 to 5 different weekend trips to Walt Disney World every year. And when I say weekend trips, I mean maybe 3 days. If you have a 3-day weekend, that's it. 48 hours at the place where dreams come true, versus one trip a year, only one, but it's for 2 weeks. Which would you choose? If you had asked me that question before our Festival of the Arts 48-hour adventure, I probably would say 1 2-week adventure during the year. There's so much to love about a longer adventure to Walt Disney World. You can relax, you can see so much more of the parks and the resorts, you can enjoy the pools and Disney Springs and places that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see, but that being said, you're only there once a year. I have said it before and I'll definitely say it again. When we've been on adventures together that are rather short, sometimes I feel just a little bit rushed, like I don't have the opportunity to sit back, relax, and truly enjoy the park. And over time, I've been working on trying to relax more. As I said that sounds weird, right? Working on trying to relax more, but that's the truth. That's how I feel sometimes at Disney. And you really should not have to work on trying to relax, honestly, and that is a huge appeal of a longer adventure. But as I say that, I think about a longer adventure to Walt Disney World and how much I would enjoy it, but I also would feel like I was missing out on several things happening all around the parks throughout the year. And this is where it really comes down to your vacation style. Do you just want to go to the Yacht and Beach Club and stay in the pool for several days and relax and see Disney Springs, and you're very happy with that? Then you have your answer right there. But if you want to see more of those festivals at Epcot, or Halloween parties, or Christmas all around the resorts and the parks, then maybe those shorter adventures are best for you. I remember a time not too long ago when my family and I would go to Walt Disney World just about once a year. We loved it, we would go and have a great time, but we really did not know what we were missing. And part of me feels like, you know what, that's not really a bad thing. We would go to Walt Disney World during the holidays and see the decorations, but we almost never saw Halloween at Disney, Food and Wine Festival, Flower and Garden, and several other things happening around the parks. And now that I've been to several of these festivals and events happening all around, I feel like I would be missing out if I only went once a year. And I say that for no one but myself. I enjoy the Flower and Garden Festival. I love tasting the food at Food and Wine or dressing up in costume for Halloween. It is so much fun for me. But that's me. It could be different for you. If your family has been going to Walt Disney World for several years and you haven't seen these other events and you don't really feel like you're missing anything, maybe those longer adventures are perfect for you. I don't want to be misinterpreted here. I love longer adventures. They are so much fun and so much more relaxing. I can say that with confidence. But that being said, if I could only choose between one long adventure a year or several very, very short adventures, I would take the short adventures. In a perfect world, I would love to go to Walt Disney World several times a year for shorter adventures and for longer adventures, and continue to scatter them throughout the year. It sounds great, right? Shorter trips and longer trips throughout the year. The only problem is most of us work full-time full-time jobs, so we also have to consider time off work and money and several other factors. Along with time off work, we also have to consider school schedules. Let's take another hypothetical. Let's say we have a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids. Which would you prefer? One long vacation during the summer, maybe 7 days, or maybe 2 or 3 vacations, but they're all maybe a 3-night, 3-day kind of thing, and they're all happening on weekends, one in the summer, one in the spring, one in the fall. Which would you prefer? If that was me in the hypothetical situation, I probably would go once a year, simply because of the costs in terms of ticket prices and transportation. Let's not forget it costs a lot to fly or to drive or take the train 3 times a year versus once a year. Those are my thoughts when it comes to the differences between a longer vacation and several shorter vacations to Walt Disney World. Now, there is no right answer. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you prefer a lot of little vacations, or do you prefer one long vacation a year? And do you have an annual pass, and does that help you make a decision? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being a part of the magic with me. Until next time, have a magical day.